Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Tetcher, and welcome to my new show. It is Tetcher Teaches. And it is, you should be seeing this on a Tuesday, hopefully, unless I messed up somehow. But, yeah, we have triple iteration, Tetcher Teaches on a Tuesday. But this show will be coming out whenever I can make it, really, whenever I can. But it's a show where we try and learn together. I am a caster, but I'm not the most knowledgeable about the game. I try and learn everything I can, but you can always know more. So this is also going to be a learning experience for me. I've also never done a show like this before, but we're going to be looking at different players' playstyles. We're going to be looking at different heroes and analysing them, work out what makes them tick, what works, and we're going to try and learn about stuff together. Today, we're going to be having a look at Kharazim, who is the newest support character to the game, the monk from Diablo. And we're going to analyse two different players, 3 games today. We're going to be analysing Bakery from the EU server on Team Bob ? And we're going to be analysing Merryday from MVP Black on the Korean server. We have one replay from Bakery to watch, and we have 2 videos from the OGN tournament for Merryday. We're going to be starting off with Bakery today. And these 2 players, Bakery is one of the only people who actually plays the monk in the EU scene. So he is the person we're looking at. He's spectacular currently. Bob wiping out Liquid. They're wiping out pretty much everyone at the moment. So they're doing a very good job. So I feel it's a very good time to have a look at one of their players and see how it works, because he's one of the only people playing Kharazim, and they are one of the top teams currently. So we'll have a look at that and see how that does work out. Excuse me, I will also be drinking a lot to try and keep my throat healthy throughout all of this. But this isn't going to be a regular cast. It's going to be stuff. But for now, we're going to get into game number 1 as I change my scenes on my XSplit. Oh, hang on. This is going to be embarrassing here because I have my thing up. That's the game for later. That's me. I'm sorry, I'm messing everything up. What we need to do is to move that and get into the game. There we go. So, gonna press play on this replay and get underway. Hitting number 6 puts me onto the vision of our star for the day. It is going to be from Beat Our... Oh my god, I almost called it Beat Our Bakers. That was the other team that was called Bob. That's really embarrassing. But it is Bakery from Bob ? And he is playing the Kharazim here. They're up against Team Alternate Fancy. This is from the ETS Grand Finals game. And if you haven't watched those yet, head over to Cowdell's channel, because there will be spoilers for this. But we're going to be following Bakery for the moment. We're going to have a look at his first talent, and this is a talent that every single monk player does pick. It's Transcendence, and we're going to be having a look at Bakery's healing numbers throughout this. First things first, though, need to be careful, make sure they don't get caught out by any kind of early aggression. We can actually see, just quickly, Zeratul here, already on the run. Snitch, not getting caught. Excuse me, it is fine. Now, we're going to have a look at the lane setup here straight off the bat, because the lane setup is very important. For now, they're just clearing the mid lane of Pharaoh Angel. Bakery immediately moving in to protect him, and this is something that we should notice about Bakery a lot throughout this, and that is he spends a lot of time healing his teammates, and we're going to see a bit of a difference there when we go over to Merryday. And let's bring up the damage counter, in fact, and we can also have a look at the support stuff. So here is who we're looking at. Bakery, at the moment, he has 782 healing. His healing numbers do count for self-healing as well, thanks to his trait. But we already see him here moving down to protect the squishiest character. He's not off around the map. Zeratul is the roamer here. 2 warriors taking a lane to themselves. He's not going to hard push with either of them, which he could do with Johanna. He is instead with ADRD here, just protecting him, keeping him safe. We can already see he has great healing numbers, able to grab those health globes, keep ADRD healthy, safe, and secure ADRD using the towers to protect himself. And be coming in. Bakery does have that radiant dash though, so he can obviously escape in this particular scenario. We can already see him though a long way ahead of his counterpart Rhaegar, who is at the moment solo laning against Johanna, so not able to really use his healing numbers to great effect. He has come down here though. We're going to see him do a decent amount, but Bakery is basically frontlining all this. Any harassment that Zagara blocks, that Zagara throws at them, is preferably going to go into Bakery due to the fact that, like we said, his trait does heal himself. And we're going to be coming up to level 4 soon. They're just trying to push their way in here. We've got them hurt here. They're going to be in a bit of trouble, but once again, Bakery can just dash away to ADRD if things get too dicey. ADRD staying in range for that. Bakery killing off that totem for some health back, but has already dropped a little bit low. But he's still playing quite aggressive in the lane, making sure he is absolutely at the front, because that's how he gets his sustain out. Has to back away, though, from that Hunter Killer and drop down a heal. Let's have a look at the talents again, as they have now dropped up, and it is the Protective Shield, and that is very good, especially when you're running the Zeratul in this particular case to protect them. But it's the talent that, once again, most monks take on level 4, and this is a theme we'll be seeing between Bakery and Merryday. Very similar talents in the early levels. It's once we get to those heroics, and in some case the level 7, that we see a bit of a difference. And Bakery just continuing to help clear the lanes here, but we can see roll already. He has almost double. He has over double what Rhaegar is healing at the moment, just with the stats that he has. A lot of it is self-heal, but it's a lot more lane sustain than they would be getting, and they've been able to hold a lane against the Zagara, which is otherwise a very hard feat to do. Bakery going to be the one face checking because he has the sustain, but he's making sure he's always near ADRD, so that if he is at any point higher health than ADRD, then the healing will go on to him. Bakery is still looking for his opportunity. Crosby does have vision of the area, though, so he's not going too aggressively. They also don't have vision of too many people on the map, so not playing that riskily. There's the Radiant Dash to get him out of danger. He's making sure he's near to his teammates the entire time and running through. We're actually going to fast forward here a bit, make our way up to that level 7, and see what we can find from there. Let's bring that screen up. There is the talent screen. And they are going to hit level 7 in the very near future. For now, though, they have just been holding the lane. They've not been losing anything. Chen has still control over the top shrine, so they don't need to be greedy or aggressive here. And there is that level 7. We see the Echo of Heaven. The very support-focused ability from Bakery here allows you to heal for a second time with your Breath of Heaven for 2 seconds later for an extra 50% of what it healed originally. And that's a very nice healing ability. It's going to make his healing numbers drop quite massively. And Bakery, he's talked about this before in interviews in the past, about Kharazim's healing numbers and why he likes him as a healer so much. Kharazim, on his own, heals more than Rhaegar does. Rhaegar's bouncing heal. Kharazim will heal a lot more in that particular case, and that makes him very, very useful in this particular scenario, especially in these early laning phases, which is why, as we've talked about before, he currently has a far higher healing stat than Rhaegar. Rhaegar might change that, though, in the later game, and Bakery, pushing forward, the second he sees a threat, pushes in front of Kharazim to make sure that Kharazim is protected, and starts to attack the minions to heal up, and as such, they're able to hold their shrine and get the Dragon Knight in this particular sense. They're not going to go help the Dragon Knight, they're just going to keep getting XP, push up their lane, due to the fact that people have to leave to defend the Dragon Knight. Merryday staying down here, but Bakery in a safe position, going to be backing up here. Looking to see if he needs to go mid, but doesn't want to miss any XP in the bot lane. Heading back down there, let's zoom out a bit. We can see the Kael'thas, same situation, also going to be joining it down here. And yeah, Bakery and ADRD just going to be continuing to push this up for the moment. They're actually getting Zarmley to clear up the creep with those pings there, making sure they don't miss out on too much. 8,000 healing for Bakery, 4,000 for Rhaegar, working out nice. I didn't even see that when I watched this the first time. That was a very nice stun by Merryday to interrupt the B from ADRD, but Bakery staying in the lane. He has the sustain, and this is a nice little trick that he does. He just stands there and tanks the tower shots, and this is something that as a monk you can absolutely do. You can just tank them because he's going to heal all that back up right now, just off the minions. Merryday trying to drop his harassment and does actually stun him out, but he can't kill Bakery here. He does not have the damage on his own, and Bakery will out-sustain him. There's not a situation in this game yet that Bakery can get the kill, and there are the level 10s available for their team. I'm not quite sure why the screens are on the other side, by the way, the talents. But the level 10, we have the Divine Palm. And in this particular game, Bakery doesn't use it too much, but this is the #1 support ability on Kharazim, due to the fact that it allows him to protect allies. In this case, it would be the Kael'thas or the Zeratul if they were in danger and diving quite deeply, due to the fact that Bakery would be able to stop them from dying, or at least prevent the focus onto them in the case of Zeratul for enough time for them to reposition. Bakery pushing in here, going to try and take out this camp here, and they are going to be able to get it, but Noob coming in, not able to interrupt it, but Bakery just continuing to attack a Noobrak. It doesn't matter that he's the tank and there's a Rexar nearby. sorry, a Rhaegar nearby. He's just trying to get his hits off and get his healing done. There we go, taking a bit of damage, Radiant dashing back to ADRD, making sure he's near to the teammate with the most potential for actually dying in this situation, and just healing up off that beetle a bit before he heads back to lane. He's going to be moving back in for the moment. Once again, we're going to fast forward a bit here so we can check out other stuff. But the most important bit that Bakery has been doing, he's always, every time there's a team fight, made sure that his priority is working out where ADRD is and how he can protect him, how he can keep him alive. In some cases, he's also trying to protect Snitch as well, making sure he gets auto attacks whenever possible. If he actually moved a bit nearer to Snitch that time, he might have been able to get a bit of healing onto him. But in this case, didn't matter too much. Ammo's gone, and Snitch will heal that up with his basic regen. Bakery just holding this lane for the moment. They've managed to push it up. They've managed to slowly get their advantage thanks to that early Dragon Knight, and they're continuing to push forward. Any harassment that Zagara could drop onto Bakery here, he would sustain back up, which is why he's playing so aggressively. They have a camp, so they're going to be able to take this down and keep the aggression on. Kael'thas already moving to the mid lane so that they can try and grab that Dragon Knight. There is no one there to block them, except for this Anub'arak, which Bakery immediately reveals and starts auto-attacking. He's not got a huge amount of damage to Smug, but that's not the point. The point is that he's zoning. He's creating damage onto that Anub'arak. Anub'arak knows he can't kill Kharazim, so it's constant vision and constant damage, and the longer Anub'arak stays, the worse it's going to be. So Bakery taking the risk of taking damage in exchange for pushing in and trying to control the area. They didn't get the Dragon Knight, as we did see, but it was enough. Bakery dashing to Blumby here, making sure he can get near to Zarmany, just so he can help him out in this scenario. And there you go, dropping some auto attacks onto Blumby to make sure everything's safe. Syndrago's is coming down, there's a bit of a fight happening, and immediately Bakery using the Hydralisk to get near to ADRD and secure his safety. And as such, they're able to pick up the kill onto Nurok and also Dark Monk. And very well played there. And we're just going to quickly talk about the talent while they chase down Zagara here. They may be able to catch her as well. Bakery dashing to chase here. Doesn't look like they're... Actually, they may catch her. Yeah, Zeratul blinking in. Able to get a Blumby will get out, though. But we can see Bakery taking the Relentless here as his level 13 talent. And this is good against the kind of stun compositions that are being used against him. Arthas, Anub'arak, Muradin, and even the slow from Rhaegar here. He's able to continuously sustain. Right now, just healing himself back to full with his trait there. Throwing away a bit of mana for getting himself back to full health thanks to his trait. But yeah, the Relentless is very good here. We see him locked down and he's already free to dash away and help his team. And moving back, making sure he's not in danger. He's frontlining only when he needs to protect his assassin who's currently in top lane. Top lane is doesn't have anyone resisting it, so he doesn't need to pay too much attention to it. There is not so much of a threat. And right now, Bakery just moving down. We're going to fast forward again. Just let me get him back to a point of interest here. He's hanging around. He's making sure that once Snitch pops out of that Dragon Knight, and also helping Dragon Knight push, but once Snitch pops out of that Dragon Knight, that Divine Palm will be available for him to protect him, and also, of course, that Breath of Heaven, which immediately used on both of the warriors there, keeping them sustained, staying near. A noob coming in from the side, but he's just continuing to push him, making sure he's near anyone taking damage, and healing them up as much as possible. And he continues to push forward here. That's all he needs to do. Gets rooted, Relentless, able to get him out. Very lucky he didn't get Maud there. Not much he could have done about that. He was just lucky on that Maud placement. And they push forward again. Able to take towers because they've been able to out-sustain. Healing from Bakery. Able to remove pretty much all of the damage. You can see everyone at full health here that has been dropped by Team Alternate. And helping that out is his level 16 talent here, the Circle of Life, which gives him an extra 10% healing for each other hero in the cast range. And that can be a lot of healing. That's not friendly hero. That's friendly or enemy heroes. If you are in a team fight, that's going to be dropping a fair amount of healing. And that makes... that is why Bakery is being able to out-sustain so much in these fights, because his team is diving very hard and he's staying with his warriors. Kael'thas was not under any threat, so he was able to stay with his warriors, keep them safe, keep them alive, drop any auto attacks, get his healing that way, and continuously Breath of Heaven to keep his team nice and sustained. And right now, he's not in any danger. He doesn't know where the enemy team is, but they can't really dive him in that particular position, so he was able to push the lane and then move back to join up with his team. He's going to join up with Snitch here, and they will take down this mercenary together with the help of Zarmany. Going to fast forward again. Get ourselves back to another position. Kael'thas still fair, able to take down that. And yeah, Bakery just clearing out the roaches, making sure that no one gets caught out there, no one gets demounted. He's able to kill them off without any risk to himself. And as such, Bob grabbing that top fort. So fast forward again, once again, moving in. He is assisting the tanks in tanking when it comes to these mercenaries. He's absorbing damage because he gets it all back. And that is the important part about Kharazim. And they're able to grab the next Dragon Knight of the game, push on forwards, and right now it's looking very difficult for Bob to lose this game. They're looking in a really nice position and in a full control of this game. Let's slow this down a bit and zoom out. Bakery just aggressively pushing onto towers thanks to that E ability. Is able to do quite a bit of damage. And now we can see Darkbog and that Syndragosa doing a lot of damage onto ADRD. Bakery dashing to protect himself, but also to make sure he's near to his main damage dealer and keeping him safe. And Bakery moving in onto Darkbog. He knows Darkbog can't kill him, so he's going to use Darkbog to get a lot of his health back and to zone him out and to be the front line for ADRD to start dropping his damage out. Bakery, once again, just auto-attacking the beetles on the way past, making sure he gets his lifesteal. Pharaoh Angel in his Panda Pals form, once again, also getting healed by Bakery, just making sure he's near him so that they get all that sustain out so that they are fine. And that is the first keep of the game, all taken. And once again, everyone on the side of Bob is at full health. No casualties here, no kills at all for Team Alternate Fantasy. And that is a lot to do with Bakery and his just incredible amount of healing he's putting out. We're actually going to have a look at that right now. And he has 44,000 healing as opposed to Rhaegar, who has 28,000. There's a nice stun there, and Bakery going in, able to take down Gurdenherd just with the extra damage, while Chen is just slowing down anyone on the retreat path. It's just a very just a really nice style here. Bakery pushing in. Once again, doesn't matter who he attacks. It could be a warrior. In this case, it was the Zagara. But as long as he is hitting someone, he's getting sustain for his team and able to heal them up again. Keep them all healthy as they move on to the core. Void Prism to prevent any resistance. And that is game for Bob ? But Bakery, not even having to use his heroic there, but still had the sustain for his team. And that is the interesting style that we do see here from Bakery. If his team was against a burst team, this composition would still work. There we go, Divine Palm used at the end there just for fun. But the Divine Palm didn't see any use in that game, and that is one of the things that we can call out as when we have a look at Merryday's play. But that Divine Palm, very good against those burst comps, and if Kael'thas had been focused that little bit more and maybe taken a bit more damage, then maybe that Divine Palm would have been able to allow him to reposition or at least saved his life. So it was a secure pick and a very safe pick by Bakery, which allowed them to control the game, and his healing more than enough to end the game in their favour. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just very quickly switch over to some of Merryday's play here. And we're going to analyse him compared to Bakery's. And Bakery, we saw there, very support heavy, very heal heavy, making sure his team stayed alive, and a lot of focus on staying near ADRD and getting out of danger himself, but had no issue with attacking the tanks and making sure that all the damage dropped onto them first. So first thing we're going to watch is we're going to watch Merryday on the same map. We're going to watch him on Dragonshire. Full disclosure, this once again is a spoilers from the OGN League, but this is a game that they lose. But we're going to have a very quick look at just a couple of the talents. We're just going to skim through several bits because we have 2 games from Merryday to watch here. So we're going to bring those up right now, and let me bring up the window. There we go. Once again, these are on YouTube. I have to mute them, and I have some music prepared, so we have some background stuff to listen to. So yep, so let's play through those. I thought I didn't hear the music there for a second. And first fight is in a couple seconds, so we can see it that way. Once again, we don't really have much control over this because it is just a YouTube video, but we can take full control. It is Merryday on the Kharazim, and he is who we'll be paying attention to. Once again, starting off with that Transcendence trait, able to give himself that extra sustain, that extra healing, and keep himself safe. And immediately we see, we're going to pause here actually just to have a look, we immediately see the Leoric taking a bit of an engage, taking a little bit of damage, and Kharazim not even demounting. He's not in that situation. His 2 tanks at the front line, they're very, very unlikely to die at this point. This is an Asmodan comp as well, by the way, from MVP Black. So Merryday, he knows his priority is the Asmodam, seeing if they can get him protected and keep him safe. So he moves in, just drops a single heal, and then gets out. He doesn't dive in for the fight. He knows they're outnumbered because Valor is in the bot lane, and instead just drops his heal down and keeps him safe. Now, the lane setup is about to get very interesting. So we can have a look at the minimap and we can see that, once again, unlike the game with Bakery from Bob Question Mark, where they had Kharazim in the bot lane protecting their main damage dealer the most. That main damage over time in the form of Kael'thas. In this case, Snake, possibly the main damage dealer until Azmodan gets fully stacked up, is in the bot lane on his own. He's able to sustain on his own, absolutely, but he's on his own unprotected against a team with a fair amount of engage. The Merryday and the Anubarak and the Jaina for the extra damage here. But playing safe, you can see him very far back at the moment from his minion wave, making sure it doesn't get caught out. Whereas, as we will see in a second, Kharazim is actually playing with the roaming squad. He's actually helping Azmodan stack here and making sure that the lane is pushed. And we will see him not even staying up in his top lane for the farm. He mounts up and he comes down to that bot lane as well. The bot lane is being 4-man pushed here. Currently no one in the bot lane. He able to Radiant Dash in, get his healing off. And they still get their stacks, but Merryday also roaming with the squad here, just as a sort of a roaming healer. Just able to get all that ambulance work off and keep his teammates alive. And second he is ready, he's able to move up to that shrine and grab control of the top shrine in favour of MVP Black. And next moment happens at about 38, so we're going to skip ahead to that. Not much else happens, a lot of stacking happens. But this is something we saw Bakery do as well. But another thing that Kharazim is completely capable of doing is starting off those solo mercenary camps. And we'll see him move down to the easy camp in a second. He's just able to tank up as much as possible, unless I've got the time wrong on that. No, this is about the time. I guess I just wrote it down. Oh yeah, I got it wrong. I put it in wrong. It is about 30. Which we're fast approaching on, so we'll just let that happen. There we go. He's already started on that easy camp there. So he's able to out-sustain any of the damage that the mercenaries can drop onto him, as we can see, and he's able to take them completely on his own, while the roaming squad, Azmodan went B here, so Kharazim wasn't needed to soak the XP, due to the fact that the two roamers, the Leoric and the Johanna, were able to move up to the lanes and just protect them, due to the fact that, like we said, Azmodan, he went back for a bit of health and mana in this case, so Kharazim wasn't needed. So he just went off and got a mercenary camp in this particular scenario. Valor has moved up from the bot lane just for a little bit. Azmodan is now down there, just stacking for a bit. But that lane, they're not getting too much out of it. And they've done a very good job of stacking, as we can see there. The Korean casters showing us very nicely what is happening there. We see a bit of an engagement onto Leoric, but they're not able to get too much. Level 7 is available for this Kharazim. He dashes onto sign there, making sure he is safe. And once again, we can see that he has gone with the protective shield, but level 7 he went with the cleanse. Now there's quite a bit of crowd control on the side of MRR here, in the form of, like we said, the Merryday, the Malfurion, Jaina slows, the Anubaraks. Pretty much everyone has a bit of CC except for Zagara, but you can't... Zagara does have more, but you can't actually cleanse that. But running the cleanse instead of the Echo of Heaven is very interesting, and I asked Bakery about this, I asked him his opinions on it, and he says that it doesn't really matter. Like, usually he'd only run cleanse against a comp that's very, very crowd control heavy. Like, it's like, we're talking like a Uther with Divine Storm kind of thing. Able to just lock down and kill that way. But in this situation, not really too necessary in his opinion, due to the fact that you are divine palming later anyway, and that's the protection you get to anyone who gets CC locked. So he's able to protect them that way. But here is where we're going to see the difference between the Koreans and between the Europeans. And as such, we're just going to fast forward through this to get to the next point of interest. Just a little bit of Dragon Knight fights here. Actually gone ×2 speed to get there as quick as possible. Next point coming up is at about 4150 on this playlist. Nice. And yeah, we can see that MVP just defending at the moment. They are a little bit behind XP. Level 10s will be hit by MRR first. MRR first. So they just have to defend for the moment and not risk too much. But we can see when we move this menu out of the way that Monk is just with his team at the moment, keeping them protected with the roaming squad. He was able to cleanse out the Azmodan a little there as he was engaged upon, but not getting too much out of it. We do see, like we said, bit of a scuffle happening, and they're able to lock down a player here, but Kharazim not diving in. None of them are diving in as they do not need to. Instead, Johanna already on their way to the top lane, but Monk just making sure he's with his team there, keeping them safe, keeping them secure, and protecting them from any of the nasties. And next bit is, wow, I wrote that horribly because that's not possible, that particular time frame that I wrote there. So we're just going to boop our way onto that. And we're going to have a look through this when it happens. Level 10 mouse been hit, and we see that it is, as the Korean casts are showing, the 7-sided strike. Now, what this ability does, and a lot of people do play it because it's the part of the damage build for the Kharazim in this case. It makes you invulnerable, creates a circle around you, and will hit the highest health target in that circle for 7% of their health, and it will hit 7 times. So if someone goes below another of their teammates' health, then Kharazim will switch targets to that person. But that entire time, Kharazim is invulnerable, so he can't be targeted. But the circle is quite small, it's able to be microed out of, and we're going to see action happen with that particular scenario in a couple seconds. And I think I have missed a fight here. No, there we go. Uses 7-sided strike, able to do quite a bit of damage there. In fact, able to take down a Nubrak, and that's the first fight that MVP have won, as they were able to burst down the tank with the help of that percentage damage. Beautiful more by Zagara, by the way. But with that damage, they were able to do a very good job. They would pick off the assassin, pick off one of the warriors, and it's all part of this particular style of play. You go very heavy on the engagement and then drop a huge amount of damage that way. In this case, with the Asmodan, they were able to lock it down and do a very nice job with that, and it worked out in their favour. Now, we're approaching quite quickly level 13 for MVP Black, and we will see the Quicksilver coming out for MVP Black here. Excuse me, the Quicksilver, very, very nice for this particular build. It gives the extra movement speed to anyone you dash to. I believe it's 30% extra movement speed to anyone who you dash to, and yourself. And we will see that used in this particular fight. He is moving in at the moment. He has 7-sided strike available. It's a very short cooldown. Tries to use it on as few targets as possible. You're able to take down Zagara with a huge amount of damage. And the reason you want to use it on as many targets as possible is, like we said, it's the highest health target in the ring. So you're going to be hitting people like the warriors quite a lot. But if you can get it on a single target and get all 7 hits off, that's 49% of their max health. 7 times 7, 49 is just mental amounts of damage. And that is the point of this particular build, just dropping that huge amount of damage here and keeping it safe while using the Quicksilver to get yourself and your team out of trouble, as opposed to healing them once they are into it. And we can see here Kharazim with his team helping out, just staying quite close to the back. He doesn't need to put himself in unnecessary risk, just keeping himself protected as much as possible. Next timer is, we're seeing Kharazim move up right now to go for the bruisers, and like we said before, this is something that Monk can do. He is capable of tanking mercenaries thanks to the sustain he gets from his transcendence, keeping himself healthy and doing a lot of extra work in this particular sense, instead of just sitting in a lane himself and trying to clear it with his fairly low damage. Like, he doesn't really want to waste his E ability in the sense of lane pushing. You want to keep it with you in case of a fight. It does help with lane pushing though to get your health back, but you want to keep it. In this case, you can use it to help take mercenaries. I'm just seeing Sign in danger here. I'm pretty sure he dies. And, oh, yep, he is dead. But the Monk just chilling in the mid lane with the majority of his team, making it so that his team doesn't get caught out, doesn't go in any particular danger. And we see him doing the bakery thing again. Both of these players are very fond of this, to just dash in and tank the towers themselves, because they out-sustain them and can just get all their health back anyway, even if they don't sustain them, by attacking some minions after they have taken as much ammo as possible and backed away. Now, this is actually a very nice move. We're going to pause here, and actually no, we're going to rewind a bit because it just happened. We got a bit too far back, but it's about to happen in a second. Now, this is where we're going to see the advantage of the Quicksilver talent. We see Johanna is a bit further forward than the rest of her team, and she is now being cut off by Dukdiok and very soon the Anubarak, but Kharazim dashes in and gives her the movement speed, and that allows her to reposition away from Dukdiok and not get caught out in this particular scenario. And that is what this build's about, making sure your team doesn't get caught, trying to make the fight always on your terms as opposed to turning every fight onto your terms. And that is the difference in style we see between these two players. A lot of healing, Bakery just trying to control the fights, whereas we see Merryday attempting to control when the fights and where the fights happen, which is a very interesting style shift. And we see the level 16s, which is the lightning speed, which is just an extra bit, which is an extra stack on your Radiant Dash, and that extra cooldown reduction on the Radiant Dash as well. And MVP looking quite good here. They finally have a talent advantage for the first time in the game. But, like we said, spoilers, this is not a game that they actually win. And we're going to fast forward to where things start to go a bit wrong here. Moving down to the bot lane, Sign just dueling with Duck a little here. And they're able to get control. We see the Anubrak a bit out of position, and they try to go with the combo they went for earlier, with Asmo slamming in. Ring of Frost goes down. Merryday dashing in, 7-sided strike here, but throughout all of this, Anubrak is still in here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 people in this circle. One of them is using Tranquility. So now, instead of damage being focused onto one particular person, the damage is going on to, well, the damage is going on to everyone. So instead of seeing all that focus damage just bursting someone down, which we will have a look at in the next game, we are seeing the damage spread out amongst a lot of people. And that's the downside of this heroic, where the downside of the Divine Palm is people can just turn away from it and not pop it, which is really less than ideal for you. In this one, if the best reaction to it is to either get out of the circle as quick as possible. If that's not possible, make like the Grim Patron and everyone get in there, so that you are spreading the damage out amongst your team to make sure that that one person on your team who does get caught does not get picked off with that huge amount of damage. And that's, well, we've already only seen this for a couple seconds now, and we've already told you how to counterplay against it, and we can actually see how this goes here. Icebox is already being used on the Jaina as well to make sure that she doesn't get picked off and doesn't take any damage from the 7-sided strike. So we're just going to play for the last seconds. Johanna already picked off here. Monk caught out because he was using his 7-sided strike, and once he popped out of it, he was in trouble. Able to use his movement speed, though, using his Radiant Dash as much as possible to try and get his team away, but Duck probably one of the best warriors in the world, and we'll be looking at him in a future episode, but able to catch him out, and this is where MRR do just win the game. And it's an incredibly well-played game by MRR to bring that back. A very nice fight and a good reaction at the end. But we're going to have a look at another game here. Another game where this one is a win by MVP Back. It's one of the games earlier in the series, but I wanted to show you this one first, due to the fact that it's a different it is a slightly different style of play. Pretty much the same build, but just a slightly different idea on how to actually run the monk as much as possible. Oh, there we go. Mute that. And let's head back into the game this time. Once again, it is going to be Merryday on that Kharazim, as we do want to see and see as much as possible. And the early game of this, not too much happens other than the fact it's the usual 1 to times 2 this. It is the usual 1-4 comp from the side of MVP, whereas it's the 1-3 from MRR because they are running the Abathur. And Kharazim just staying with his team right now and not going super aggressive like you'd see him in some of the other lanes and have done in the 2 previous games. What we're seeing him do here is we're seeing him just stick with his team because he can't dive because there's too much potential damage on the team. And we just see scuffles here. Nothing too exciting happening other than Kharazim. Actually, we're going to rewind that because it's not too relevant to what we were talking about, but it's cool as hell. Let's skip back to where Illidan dives in the first time. There it is, a little bit further back. And turn the speed down to normal. There we go. And let's play through this so we can just see. I just like this. This is just a cool play here. Illidan sees a weak Merryday in the back there. Dashes very deep to try and kill him. Backs away when Jada starts dealing damage. Merryday comes back in. Dashes onto Illidan and tries to bait Illidan out. Dashes to Jada. Jada turns around. He dashes to another minion and is able to escape. Nice positioning. And during all of that time, they were able to take down Zagara. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what that is. I saw that during the actual live broadcast, and I'm still not entirely sure what it was or what was happening there. But it was kind of cool to see. Now, first Immortal fight is going to be coming up in a second or two. Just going to take a drink. So yeah, Immortal spawning pretty much any second now. And straight away at that Immortal, we're going to be seeing a scuffle. We can see MRR moving up to the defensive positions here. Merryday is here with his 2 warriors. They're bunched up. And if this was a bakery style, we'd see them go quite hard in. Jaina is a bit further back here as well. So in a bakery style, we'd see him go quite hard in with the warriors, keeping him sustained, dashing back if Jaina was in danger, which is quite likely thanks to this Illidan. So we're going to have a look to see how this is played out in this particular scenario, mounts up and moves around to the side after the engagement has happened. Sign's already taking quite a bit of damage here on this Johanna, but he is Johanna. So he's going to push in here, and they're going to see what they can get out of this. And they push in. Jaina dropping a nice amount of damage. They've got Rhaegar here, but Merryday dived quite hard onto the Illidan there and is continuing to chase him down and forces him to back up, and then dashes back out to Sign to make sure he gets out and keep him safe. And by this point, Lockdown, one of the greatest melee assassin players in the world, who we'll also be looking at in a future episode, is able to join in and get a lot of damage done. Now, once again, not much else happens in this game. Like this, overall, this game in particular is quite a boring one, but there's a lot of moments that are very noteworthy. So we're just going to fast forward to them and get to that particular moment. We'll skip ahead a bit. We get hit level 7 at about 11 minutes, so skip forward there. But once again, not too much happens earlier on in the games, and level 7 once again is that protective shield, so they're able to get a little bit out of there. But yeah, we saw the Immortals push. They weren't able to get to. They were able to get a couple towers out of the Immortal push, but they weren't able to get the fort. Abertha is now chilling at that fort to make sure it doesn't take too much. Sorry, it was the bot fort that was sorted. Abertha's still just chilling up here for the sake of it. But Merryday showing off again what Kharazim can do with the tankiness. He's with Lockdown here, who Sonya is one of the heroes that can absolutely solo mercenaries, but she takes quite a bit of health damage when she does it. So she's able to sustain out quite a bit with the help of, in this case, Merryday, and they're able to take control of that mercenary camp without putting themselves at too much risk. Now, level 7, it's very interesting again because we're seeing it more similar to the style before. We see no stuns on the side of MRR here, so instead he is going for that Echo of Heaven, due to the fact he gets the healing out of it in this sense. But there was a fair amount of CC in the other game, but there wasn't a huge amount of follow-up to that CC, which is why Bakery would follow in with that's why you're running the Divine Palm. But they did lose that game, so we're going to have a look here. Now he has that Echo of Heaven, able to defend out. And I would like to point out that these aren't, they don't just take 7-sided strike just in certain games. It's in pretty much every game we see Kharazim get picked up in, at least by MVP Black. Now, we're going to skip ahead a little bit to the 14-minute mark, because at these temple fights, a little bit of scuffling happens, but nothing actually that exciting. Lockdown just gets healed up. They don't really lose that much in this case. It's just regular fighting. Keep control of those Immortals as well as you can. So yeah, we're going to fast forward here to what is about to be the level... Oh, wow. I am really bad at note-taking, apparently, because I got that completely wrong. There's the level 9. So what did I put? Oh, yes, I just can't read. That is the difference. Can't read my own handwriting, so I'm getting the complete wrong timestamps here. So yeah, they take down this fort with the Immortals they were able to grab earlier, while Illidan does Illidan things, and they hit the level 10. We can see once again we have the 7-sided strike, and this time it's a bit more interesting due to the fact that they actually have a kind of melee assassin on their team in the form of Lockdown on that Sonya. Yes, she is technically a warrior, but she's mostly considered due to the fact that she does a very large amount of damage and comes with her own stun. So that's very useful for her, and her Whirlwind gives some sustain. We can see he's actually gone with the activatable Rage Giver, the focus attacks, and that just activate heal ability, and then went with the Wrath of the Berserker as her heroic for the extra damage. So she is pretty much immune to CC thanks to, or has a 40% reduction to CC thanks to Wrath of the Berserker, and is just trying to drop her damage, but is still going to be, other than Jaina, the main target here. Jaina also hasn't got any protective abilities at all yet until she gets that improved Ice Block later on, if she gets that improved Ice Block later on. So right now they're all very heavily relying on that Echo of Heaven from Kharazim due to the fact he doesn't have the Divine Palm here to protect Jaina if she gets dived on by Illidan or someone like that, or to protect Sonya if she gets dived on. But there's not a huge amount of lockdown that can really do that. Excuse me, hiccups that can really do that to them in this case. So right now, as long as Kharazim can stay near them and get those Echoes of Heaven off, they may be able to get away with this in a pretty nice scenario. And we're just going to watch them push in here, and then we're going to move on to the next moment of a note. And Merryday, once again, just auto-attacking literally everything he can, just focusing. And we actually see, Tiro taking a bit of damage here. Merryday just dashing around, making sure everyone's healed up. He doesn't yet have the Quicksilver, so he's not able to really catch anything in this particular scenario, give his team any kind of boost. He's just near them, so he can get any kind of healing onto them. But no one dies in this, and with level 10's hit, it's a very good time for MVP to black out Immortal. Actually stops Evergreen from chasing in any further there. So we're going to skip ahead once again to our next moment of interest, which is at about 17 minutes 10. I've written on my piece of paper. So we're going to poke in here. It's Immortals once again, and in this particular case, MVP still in control, trying to take down the blue Immortal first. But MRR are beginning to move their way in. We have all 30s as well. We have the Quicksilver talent finally available, so they're able to do stuff. And MRR finally beginning to react after clearing out that top lane, but already half health off the Immortal. Duck has just been sitting around this area just in case he wants to go in. And here we go. We're seeing Duck move in here. He doesn't want to get caught out, but they're fighting under their own Immortal, so we can do a fair amount here. Now, I'm actually going to rewind this because this fight is very interesting from pretty much every angle, and we're going to put it onto a slower speed, which we can conveniently do with the YouTube video that we can't do with the actual game at the moment. So, running on a slow speed, they're just starting on this. Duck is just looking for his opportunity at the moment. Blizzard's already been used, so Duck finds Jaina out of position and dives onto her. In the meantime, Illidan is diving over Lockdown to get into position here and is trying to just go into the back line. Kharazim already dived onto Jaina, keeping her completely safe. Duck never even reaches her as she's able to reposition. He's now running around to his two warriors who are already in a bit of danger. Sonya, completely fine here, only has Leoric to deal with, so the priorities of Merryday are on his warriors here. He's already popped his Breath of Heaven and is now trying to get on near to Sign so that he's able to heal her up as well. Lockdown, now, still completely fine, a bit of danger, and Illidan with the transformation. Merryday is immediately going to shift his focus onto that Illidan here and try and do as much damage as he can to pick him off. He knows he can sustain out of him, but it's a similar situation to a Thrall versus an Illidan. You can't really do a huge amount of damage to him because he has this evasion, and in this case, it's getting shielded from Abathur. Moves into the bush, and as far as he can see, Evergreen has already moved into this little area here. The only person in range of that wonderful 7-sided strike that could do so much damage here is this Zagara. So we're actually going to see him here. Is the Illidan. He can't really see the Zagara from this scenario. He now can. Zagara engages, and Zagara reacts perfectly, moves straight into the 7-sided strike, and so does Rhaegar here to protect him. We can immediately see the damage shifting from that Illidan, who they might have been able to focus down onto the Zagara, and very soon onto the Rexar. So Illidan doesn't actually take as much damage as they wanted to. So Merryday, and in this case the Tyrael, unable to take it down. So instead, they shift out of the fight, move on to Johanna, making sure that she is safe, and moving to the rest of the team, and they do disengage as they weren't able to get the damage they wanted to in the way they wanted to. So now we're just going to shift back to normal speed now that we have seen that. But that is a good way to react to it, and that is a situation where the fight does go that little bit wrong. They weren't able to really get everything they wanted out of this, so we're going to skip ahead to the next point of interest once again, or at least we would if I could get my timestamps up. There we go. And once again, MVP were able to get the Immortal and are just pushing in to the MRR base. They're trying to get as much as possible. We can actually, let's pause here quickly because we can actually see the healing numbers. We can see 15,000 from the Rhaegar and a 34,000 on the healing from the Kharazim. And hero damage, Kharazim once again ahead as he's been able to dive in, do damage. And 7-sided strike is nothing to giggle at, which is pretty good for them. Now, this is another fight that we're going to watch a little bit slower. Not as slow as the last one, but just a little bit slower. We'll go with the 0.5 here and watch it from there. Or at least we would if it would play. There we go. And Illidan diving in straight away, trying to get Tyrael in this situation, then trying to get Jaina. Jaina popping her water elemental quite far back as it's out of danger in this particular case. The shield misses. They pull in the Tyrael. Tyrael not able to get much. Actually, I said that completely wrong, and we actually missed quite a bit there, so we're going to rewind it a little bit. So yeah, Illidan moving out of position. They have Leoric and they have Illidan in this area. 7-sided strike is going to pop here as they've pulled just those two in, and they want to try and get that damage off. We can already see Leoric taking is basically about to go down. Pops into ghost form as 7-sided strike hits. So in this case, all of the damage would have gone on to Illidan if he hadn't popped his Metamorphosis there. So another good reaction from MRR there. And all the damage instead goes on to Buck. And a little bit goes on to Tyrael at the end. Judgment lands on him, Ancestral heals him up, but he's still locked down. They're still able to pick him off in this particular case. And I'm going to pause up and move to normal speed here, because another little thing happens in this particular case. We do see Sonya, melee assassin of the team, dashing in. Kharazim dashing to her with that Quicksilver, giving her the extra movement speed, so she could have chased if she wanted to, but decides against it. They're not going to be able to lock anyone down in this way. They actually do push onto Core here, but Mortal does not have enough health to finish that off in this particular case. But Kharazim still been doing damage in this particular case, and they still haven't given over a kill yet. They haven't really lost anyone or wasted anything, so they are still in control. But once again, this seems to be a composition with a rather high lack of burst damage, so they're not in a situation that is too unbeneficial for them. So we're going to skip on to the last moment here that's really important. We can see that MVP moving up here. They're going to be, second last moment. They're going to try and get Duckdiuk. They've already pulled him in with the Condemn here. They're just going to dash onto him and seven-sided strike him, and that just wipes him out. Single targets, if you can pick off single targets like that, we can see it's on a 45-second cooldown. The seven-sided strike is worth popping for the single target snipes in these scenarios, and that gives them a lot of control. 26 seconds till the next Immortal spawns. Duckdiuk will be back in time, but having him dead in this particular scenario means he's not clearing waves, and his team has to do a lot of his job. And we have one final moment before the end of this game, really. This game ends quite quickly, and it is to do with Illidan. Once again, Illidan's interaction with Merryday. We see a clone of Illidan coming in here straight away, trying to get to Saka in the backline. Dives in and is trying to push through lockdown, trying to just get to Saka in that backline. Manages to get to her, but immediately the dash from Merryday, giving Saka that extra movement speed, allowing her to get out and play completely safe. And then Merryday just moves in, making sure Tyrael is fine. Tyrael had already uses Eldarin's Might to get over the wall, though, so he wasn't in any particular danger. And now Merryday looks like they're just going to move in, and then they just grab the Immortal and pretty much end the game. Not much else happens after this game. So we'll just skip forward here, and we will see them end the game eventually. Eventually it happens. There we go. Then we had a bit of a last... let's rewind and watch the last fight. Watch the team wipe happen. Wow, this one happens for a long time. Here we go. So yeah, they're ready again. 17-17. Only 2 kills have happened in the entire game for MRR. Merryday been doing his job very well here. They're just going to push in, try and grab that Immortal, which will end the game for them if they can take it. So they can try and push in here, or at least it will do a very good job thanks to the shields already been taken almost half off by MRR, and they're looking for an opportunity. Tyrael looking for it. Lockdown pulls himself quite far forward and is immediately engaged upon. Merryday healing him up with that Breath of Heaven, dives onto his backline, who are also in danger, gets moored up, and this is looking quite bad for MVP here, but Breath of Heaven already off cooldown here, just healing them up as much as possible. Seven-sided strike used, doesn't do too much damage, but it keeps Merryday out of the fight and able to get his cooldowns back up for just as much time as they need, and they're able to get out of that more, turn that fight around straight away, and that will give them the Immortal and will give them the game. And that is GG. So there you guys go. That is a slightly different playstyle just between Bakery and between the MVP player called Merryday. And it's just incredible to see the 2 different styles here. We see Bakery, who goes super aggressive in the fights, but always make sure he's near his assassin. So he's in the backline quite a bit trying to do the damage, whereas the MVP style is very much control where the fights happen and when the fights happen, and then engage. So Bakery is trying to win a fight no matter what it happens. If his team is the one who gets engaged upon, because it does happen, then he is there, he's ready to protect, and he's ready to serve. Whereas, on the side of MVP, they just make sure the fight doesn't happen. They split up if they need to, try and distract, and then use that Radiant Dash to get out. But we saw in the second game we had a look at today that doesn't always work. As well as Seven-Sided Strike, it does have a lot of counterplay against it. So does that Divine Palm, but that Divine Palm does give you at least 3 seconds to try and reposition yourself and get out of a fight. So both the heroics, huge amount of, but in the game we saw, Divine Palm never actually was used at all, due to the fact that it wasn't actually needed. So it was a heroic that was just dead in the water. So they want, if they had that 7-star strike, they would have been able to win the fights a lot quicker and take the games more heavily. So both of the heroics, very well designed heroics on Monk to start with. They're very important, have a lot of potential, and it's all about the playstyle. You can either play about fight control, which is what the MVP style is. You can either play with fight control, which is what the Bob question mark style is, which is controlling the fights when they happen, making sure your team stays alive, making sure your team is protective. Or you can play about the MVP style, which is the skirting around fights, making sure your team escapes the fights, and then doing the damage you need in the fights, allowing your team to burst down people like you need to in that particular sense. So there you guys go. That is the education I can give to you on Kharazim in this case. We're looking at 2 of the best players currently in the world on the hero, and we see 2 very different styles. It is now up to you guys to try and work out which style is best for you, which style you want to play in your games if you are going to bring the support Kharazim into your games. And he's pretty fantastic. Both of these teams, top of their leagues at the moment. Very cool to see him, and the Kharazim has been a great help to them. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to leave any information, any build guides, anything at all, just your own insights on Kharazim, then please leave them in the comment section below. If you would have anything you would like me to make an episode about in the future, then, once again, leave that in the comment section below, and be sure to leave any feedback. It's the first one of any kind of show like this I've ever done. It's a very interesting style of show for me, but I'm very happy to do more, and I'm very happy to look at people, because like I said, this is teaching me as well. So, once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. This has been Tetcher Teaches, and I will see you all next time.